Hello everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's me, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my drummer, DJ Martinez. It's time for DJ Martinez. DJ thinks we're back in Morphomania again. Hi DJ, how you doing, man?
Woo, I'm pumped now.
Yeah, Jason and I have been watching through Time Force, so I was like, I had that in my head.
Well, now I'm going to have it in my head the entire evening.
Well, how the heck are you, man? How are things? It's good to see you.
Things are hecka good.
Yeah? They're so good he wishes... He's like, we're doing a show, I gotta act enthusiastic.
yeah, it's all an act. I can't stand this guy. As soon as the cameras are off, ugh, this guy.
You know, honestly, we actually don't even live in different states like we keep claiming we do. We actually just live a couple doors down from each other, but we shoot this remotely so we don't punch each other in the face. That's really...
It's the necessity, because put us in a room... when he was here, that was some acting. He was in the same room with me. We pretended like we didn't want to murder each other.
Yeah, it felt like I was in Georgia, but really, I just walked 2 doors down. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for being here. Tonight we're going to do a regular Ask Me Anything show. We're going to do a lead-in topic, as we often do. We're going to talk a little bit about the news that just dropped this afternoon about the new Daredevil series coming to Disney+. We're going to talk about what that means for that character, for Charlie Cox, and all of that, and give you our thoughts on it. DJ, did you know about this before I put it in the title?
I did not.
Yeah, this just happened.
My news from the Captain Logan show.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. So you know nothing, really, then?
I know nothing, Jon Snow.
Look, we don't even pretend like we're, doing a legitimate news show. We'll just talk about anything that happens to sound kind of interesting, and then move on to whatever people want to ask us about.
That's why we call it the Captain Logan Show and not a news show, because all we promise is that Cap will give his thoughts.
All we really promise is that I'll show up. That's
true. It's true.
It's about all you could be absolutely positive you'll get. But thanks a lot for tuning in to seeing me show up. And if you want to ask a question or leave a comment about anything under the sun within reason, be it pop culture stuff, sci-fi, comics, superhero stuff, whatever you want to chat about, food, anything, leave us a super chat in any dollar amount that guarantees that your idea will be discussed on air. If you don't want to do that, can't do that, of course we thank everybody who ever has and ever will do that. You can also leave a regular comment and just tag it at DJ Martinez or at The Welder, and he'll see those and we'll answer as many pre-written things as possible. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into... Oh, before I do that, sorry, let me also mention that we are going to have After Dark this evening for Patreon, so if you want to stick around and hang out with... we're starting the show too late now, so DJ's not able to make it, unfortunately, but I'm going to have Austin and Brandon both on that show, and we're going to bring some more fun topics for you, things that we wouldn't necessarily always talk about on the channel, and... Then I also want to mention tomorrow night we're going to have one of our mini marathons, and finally, after 2 months of not getting to that, we're finally going to do the 60s Batman mini marathon. So look forward to that. I'll post about that later on after the shows and let you know what episodes we're watching. They were voted on back in Bat March when we did a series of Batman content. Then we were supposed to do this show, and I was having weird wonky internet issues. Remember that, DJ? It was very bizarre, where Google decided not to work just in my area. So like you could look at any other website, but just nothing related to Google if you had my provider in my area.
Yeah, Google had a very specific Kansas boycott that night.
And possibly parts of Missouri. Yeah, it was.
That's true.
It was very strange. But anyway, so we're finally getting to that. Ty is going to join us, and we're going to do a blind mini marathon, watch some episodes that I haven't seen in a lot of years, that Austin has never seen before because he doesn't know very much of that show. And I don't know where Ty is on that. I think he knows that show about as well as I do. But anyway, so that'll be a lot of fun. I hope you'll come in for that. And then I lined this up accidentally, but I should have acted like it was on purpose because it's perfect. On Sunday night, if everything goes according to plan, I'm going to do another another Superhero Rewind Unscripted, this time on the second and last Adam West animated Batman movie, Batman vs. Two-Face. So a little bit of 60s Batman stuff this weekend for you. But right now, let's go ahead and do tonight's lead-in topic. You can leave questions about this or related to anything, again, within reason, as we discuss, and we'll spend just a few minutes on this. So, DJ, I guess this was probably inevitable in some iteration after, and minor spoilers for stuff that most of you guys will probably know about already, but we've been getting a lot of inklings of Netflix Marvel stuff lately, particularly Daredevil things, where Charlie Cox, as that character, as Matt Murdock, had a cameo in Spider-Man No Way Home, and then Kingpin had more than a cameo in Hawkeye, where he was kind of the big bad behind the scenes, and had a few scenes in that show. To me, a lot of people felt like something of a totally different character and kind of a cartoon character, but played by the same actor and played the same way, as if he didn't realize just how different the scripts were, or was just working really hard to try to make the whole thing fit together. I've talked about this before, so we clearly were leading toward more Daredevil stuff eventually. When and if there would be a series, nobody knew, but several years ago, when now, and it's crazy it's been this long, when Daredevil was officially canceled. DJ, this was all the way back in 2018, and it feels like a year or two ago. It's crazy how long this has been.
Crazy.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you? It's been 4 years. Kids
I feel like I'm failing a test.
Kids have started and graduated high school.
I thought you were talking specifically about Daredevil, but yeah.
You know what I'm going to say? Kids have started and graduated high school since Daredevil was canceled on Netflix.
Cap is like your grandfather who will tell you the same story every Christmas. Cap will say that phrase anytime.
If something... That's because things are 4 years removed all the time. It's very... I mean, I guess I could say we've had a new president since then, but only if it's in a specific 4 years. Yeah. Like, there's not a lot of other things that happen every 4 years.
No, high school's
right? Too. That's the thing. So it's just great, and it always gives you a sense of perspective. Anyway, I digress. So we got that news back then, and Kevin Feige, I seem to recall, but it's been long enough ago now, I might be getting this interview or soundbite wrong. I recalled him saying, when people asked, is Daredevil going to return, he said that they had plans for him, but it would be some different incarnation. And I don't know that he used exactly those words, but I remember him saying something to the effect of Disney, well, I guess yes, because Netflix was doing their own thing, even though they were able to use Disney's characters, but like Disney has, or Marvel Studios, however you like it, has different plans for Daredevil. And now we're finding that we're kind of having our cake and eating it too, where it's the same character played by the same actor, and certainly D'Onofrio is going to be involved. We don't know yet if any other characters are coming back, if Karen Page with that same actress is coming back, if they're going to use Bullseye again with that actor. There's really no telling yet, but it looks like I said, they're kind of having their cake and eating it too, in that they're going to reinvent it sounds like, to some degree, to fit the mold of what the MCU is now, and I imagine make it a little bit more family-friendly, like a lot of people have assumed and been worried about for a long time, people that loved that show and really want it to stay hard-edged and hard R. And the assumption is that he'll be, that his stuff will be kind of canonical, but that, or at least this is the assumption I'm making, but that we'll play kind of fast and loose with the continuity. And that's what we've done so far with what little we've brought in from that stuff. DJ, I think it'll be like that all the way through. I think we're going to be really ambiguous about what counts and what doesn't from Netflix Marvel. And there's a part of me that actually kind of wishes that we hadn't already gotten those connections to those shows and that we were just straight up rebooting, because my big fear with this, and I guess we'll see when it happens, like, hopefully it's great, don't get me wrong, I guess there's the possibility, although I haven't been in love with any of the MCU Disney Plus shows so far, and so I'm a little bit leery of this. Some of them I've liked more than others, but nothing has stuck the landing anything like as close to the best of the Netflix Marvel shows, and particularly Daredevil. But my worry is that it's going to be kind of that show, but just real watered down, real kind of sanitized. And a lot of people were afraid of that when it was first announced that they wanted to do something with Daredevil, but it would probably be TV and not movies, and that, you know, it probably wouldn't be a hard art thing. And I was like, well, that's okay. You could do Daredevil in a somewhat different style, like as long as it's not a super jokey thing. And it's able to be pretty character-driven. I don't need it to be as rough as that show was, but I would want it to be completely reinvented if it isn't that. I don't want more of that show, but reinvented in that way.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you're right. I feel like they need to reinvent it enough that it has its own identity, because they can't just do more of the same. It's going to have to be different, and it's going to feel weird if it's just a little bit different. It'd be more. It's like it would be better if it was like a new run on the character, like in comics. Mark Waid comes in, lightens it up a little bit. Disney Plus comes in, lightens it up a little bit. But it still feels like it has its own identity, and like they have a vision for it. That's what I would hope. Don't know if that's the case. Don't even know who the writing team is. Someone said that they're not impressed with the writing team. Doesn't give them a lot of confidence.
Writing team is Matt Corman and Chris Ord.
Yeah, Amari Daniels in the chat says, the new Daredevil writers don't fill me with confidence based on their track record, but stranger things have happened, like the Russo bros doing Winter Soldier after you, me, and Dupree.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, but I would also say that a lot of the examples that we go to for surprising writer or director or producer teams that come in after not a lot of experience and after experience not all that related to what we're dealing with are several years old now. Like Winter Soldier was 8 years old now. But they worked on things like Enemy Within for NBC and something called The Brave and a CW series called Containment. So I don't know anything about these guys because I've never seen any of these shows.
CW Daredevil sounds great. I can't wait. I
don't want to freak out and be like, oh no, they worked on something for the CW. It's something I haven't seen. It's not one of their superhero shows, but it is. Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of fans are kind of up in arms that they didn't go back to the original team, given that they had a whole season 4 laid out, and they were already storyboarding it, or not storyboarding it, but they were already outlining it with like notes on walls and stuff in their writer's room as they were getting canceled. And Disney's made kind of a big deal out of this is a new show with some of the same cast. So it's not a season 4 of that show. And that makes me go, man, I wish you guys could just straight up tell us what counts and what doesn't, and they're not going to do that, and that's irritating to me. I hope I'm won over on the choice to keep some of the principal cast the same with this, and obviously I love Charlie Cox, and he's in that kind of place of I can't really imagine anybody else playing that character, but that's just because he was so great that at the moment I can't imagine it. That doesn't mean that there's not anybody else. And I don't know. I'm sticking pretty hard and fast, DJ, to if you're going to make it what I'm imagining is such a different show, you need to start over. Like, I really don't want to be tied to that other show because all we're going to do is draw comparisons to it. Like, I think it's going to be a lot harder to win those of us over that think that that first season is some of, if not the best superhero adaptation we've ever had with what might be, in inferior product. There's no way it's, I don't know. I would be shocked if it was as good. Like, it's not come out yet. What's weird is I would almost want to not be able to compare them in any way. But you've got the same guy playing that same character.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. I think it would be weird kind of any way you slice it. I don't know. I don't really care about continuity. If it's good, I'll watch first couple episodes. If I like it, I'll keep watching it. If I don't like it, I'll stop watching it. Hopefully it can have its own identity and be its own thing and be interesting. I haven't watched that first season since it came out, so I won't be thinking about it too much. But I mean, I'll be thinking about it's the same guy. Obviously, I've seen him play before, but yeah, I hope it's decent. Like you said, I haven't seen anything. None of the Disney Plus shows have been as good as Jessica Jones season 1 or Daredevil season 1 or even Luke Cage season 1. But I don't think any of the Disney Plus shows have been as bad as some of the worst Netflix shows. So I think it goes both ways. They're just mediocre. I mean, they fluctuate in the medium zone.
So far, that's true.
Or Netflix goes highs and lows, highs and very lows. Good grief.
It's also bizarre how many of them we've had in such a short time. Like, we've had almost as many shows now as Netflix had in less than a year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So when you say none of them have gotten that bad, how long did it take the Netflix shows to get that bad?
That's true. It was at least a few years in.
So yeah, you might need 12 or 14. That's only going to take 3 years. Or less.
That's true.
But yeah, I don't mean to be an obnoxious stickler for continuity. I've just seen this happen before with other things, particularly, like, Star Trek's got it a little bit with New Track, but then, or maybe a lot, but then you've also got it with things like, I mean, I can compare this directly to other superhero stuff with the Constantine series that was canceled, and then that actor goes over to the CW and plays the same character, and they play fast and loose with whether that show counts, and the characterization is sort of the same, but it's blander, and it's not as and it's not as sharp, and it's not as edgy in, you know, the right kind of ways, and so it just gets really awkward. It isn't about, you know, oh no, they're contradicting all, you know, all these story points and things. It's just, I'm trying to come up with the right way to articulate this, DJ. It's like the character isn't fully defined because they're stuck with old material that they can't really work with. And if they've been able to just start from scratch, they might have had an okay take within their own parameters. So, like, the CW shows were never going to look like the Netflix shows, or were never even going to look as good as that Constantine series, but then you bring him over, and it's like if you took Blade and he went to Fox X-Men, you know? We're like, is he really going to be the same character? They're going to pretend like he is, but is he even going to be allowed to be? I don't know if that's a great, if that's a great comparison, but example. But you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to compare apples and oranges, and I'm being forced to do that. Like, what the MCU typically is not the Netflix shows, and not to that kind of story sophistication, because they're playing to the masses, and they care more about accessibility. And so if Daredevil has to be handled within that lens, like, invent it for that lens. And they're stuck with an initial invention that they're not really going to be able to run with. That's my worry.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing you always talk about, or we used to talk about with the Boom Power Rangers comics, where they don't really want to reinvent it, but they kind of want to stay with continuity, but they want to change it, but they should have just started over. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, and that's really awkward. And again, the problem isn't that, oh no, they're changing story points, or they can't remember everything that happened, or whatever. Like, a good story is a good story. It just sometimes reads really awkward because it feels like it's for two different fan bases at the same time. I guess the point I'm making is we're trying to make everybody happy. It is that kind of Star Trek 09 thing.
Which never works. Yeah.
It never works, yeah. With that particular example, that whole story would have been better served if it could have just been a straight-up reboot and it wasn't tied to original continuity. They thought they were making the fans happy, and it was the people that initially cared about Star Trek that had the hardest time with that. I think a lot of us would have accepted a reboot better than some of the things that they did with that. And so that's kind of what I wish we had here.
It's hilarious that you just went to Star Trek because, but not surprising. But Busted Sim says,
yeah.
DJ with his, if I don't like it, I won't watch it. Which to the entire Star Trek fandom goes, I don't understand.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, don't try to please everyone. It never works unless it's Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, where the people that they didn't please, it doesn't matter because it made almost $2 billion.
They tried to please everyone, and it worked.
Somehow it worked, yeah.
$1 billion.
Well, it's the exception that proves the rule, DJ.
Yeah, thanks, Spider-Man. Thanks for proving the rules.
Don't get me wrong. This could work. I just think that it's a hard... I don't know, it's an uphill climb. Based on what they've made already. If all we had to compare this to was the movies up until the Disney Plus show started, I don't think I would be as trepidatious about it. It's just that looking at the shows they've made, I'm also worried about just rush jobs with everything they're doing right now, DJ. Like, there's a consistency to the projects I've been liking lately, and I'm out on an island with some of this, where I really liked Eternals, and that's one of the few movies that the big MCU base was not real happy with. I really liked in the Multiverse of Madness. That's one of the few movies that the big MCU base has not been as happy with, so quite a few of them. That was a little more polarizing. I think Eternals, a lot of people were just like, what even is this? It doesn't feel like a Marvel movie, and I liked that it was able to go its own way and do a thing.
What do you say? What do you call it? Refreshing?
That's what I thought. But Doctor Strange 2 and Eternals had something in common, and that was a little bit more, I think, lead time, and they weren't as rushed and kind of by necessity. Doctor Strange almost was, and then it kind of got pushed back, and so then Raimi was able to really, and those writers spend more time on the thing, and I think it shows. And my worry, like I said, with Daredevil, but with all of these projects, is just that it's going to be pushed out so fast that it can't possibly be as good or as smart as it ought to be. And also, I guess I have to be a little leery of it just because I wasn't happy with what they did with Kingpin. So I feel like they're already kind of off on the wrong foot with those characters.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that bleeds over into Daredevil and he's all of a sudden like much more like standard superhero guy.
And who knows? Because these projects don't always talk to each other real well.
Could be, yeah. I mean, that's probably the best case scenario is if they just completely ignore Hawkeye.
Well, that's what happened with Doctor Strange. Where like a lot of people people that were in the camp of, I don't know that I like all of the kind of nostalgia bait and the cameo stuff they're doing with No Way Home, were like, oh no, Doctor Strange is a multiverse movie, so they're going to do all that again, and that's not at all what that movie was. And then also, he's characterized in character in a way that he wasn't in Spider-Man. So yeah, so sometimes it's a good thing that these characters don't talk to each other too much, or these projects.
You could have just said he's characterized.
There you go. John Ty says, I like Hawkeye. Don't get me wrong, I like a lot about that show. Kingpin was one of the weak links in it, I think, especially if it's supposed to be that version of that character. DJ, because again, I'm trying to make it clear that I'm not harping on the continuity thing as much as trying to figure out what the version of the character is supposed to be. If he wasn't D'Onofrio, and they just decided they were doing a more two-dimensional, over-the-top comic book Kingpin, I could be fine with that. But it was D'Onofrio playing it the way he did in that show. That's why it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That stuff just doesn't I guess because it is in the same continuity. But like Ghost Rider, he was playing the character very different in the second Ghost Rider Nick Cage was, and I just wasn't thinking about it. I was just like,
well, I wasn't with that either though. But that's different because they rebooted with the same actor. Like, it's different, and he was giving a completely different performance in that.
Yeah, but they don't ever come out and say that. A lot of people consider that a sequel, even though it's so different. Like they leave it open. And
but it's again case by case thing, right? You've got D'Onofrio. Some of it is I know too much about the behind the scenes with this stuff, but I think I still would have been a little bit irritated about it. And also because I can just kind of see what they're doing. They want it to all count, even if they decide certain bits of it they don't want to deal with, and I don't like that. I don't like the having your cake and eating it too with it. But you've got D'Onofrio. You've got D'Onofrio giving all these interviews about how great it is that they're bringing his Kingpin back and that their shows count and all of that. And I'm like, which is it?
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. Can care. I'm not saying you can't care. I'm just saying I don't. It's the difference of like things we care about. I'm not saying that what's right or wrong.
I'm just looking at the future, DJ, and I think if they make the wrong moves with this, you will come to care more about this than you do right now. That's what what I think will happen.
I don't. If they screw up Daredevil show, I'm gonna care even less because I'm not even gonna watch it. So I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying if you actually end up watching it.
Yeah. It's a very weird situation.
Smarty Bags tutoring, yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio was giving a similar performance. Yeah, because he thought he was playing the exact same character, and they didn't write him like that.
Yeah, that was definitely jarring, especially because I was really enjoying the Hawkeye show, and then it's like, oh, why does this have to be here? But I couldn't tell you a main Hawkeye villain that could have been there instead.
Well, I don't have a problem with Kingpin being involved with all of that because it is that side of the Marvel Universe, and that's the kind of crossover I like with Marvel stuff, where it's like, we're doing big crime drama stuff. Yeah, okay, so the Kingpin's there. Like, that's fine.
Yeah. Although I would have loved the clown villain from the actual Matt Fraction book that was working with the gangster dudes.
Yeah, and I haven't read that, but it would be nice if they went more to... sometimes with more like modern created villains for the actual material that they're borrowing from. Right. Although I say that, they are about to do that with Gore the God Butcher, and I don't...
And they're gonna butcher it.
I mean, I hope not. I hope somehow something miraculous happens, and I end up liking that movie, even though there are clearly going to be choices that are not for me. But I gotta tell you, at the moment, that's the one I really don't want to have to go to, because I just don't like that guy's take on Thor.
Robert Wild says, DJ still needs to watch Daredevil Season 3. That's true. And that is another thing that's making this really weird for me is like, it's really hard for me to get back on a show once I fall off. So that's why this one, it's like, I'm not as excited as I would be at just a Daredevil show because it's like, you're saying, it's kind of tied to it. So that's why I'm not really passionate about it either way. I'm just kind of like, I fell off Daredevil. I didn't even watch Season 3. I don't know if I'll...
But see, you might be more curious if they just recast it and had a totally different vibe.
Yeah. I probably would be.
I think they'll have him in a completely different status quo, and the majority of his supporting cast won't even be there, and they'll just be like, Foggy Nelson went off and is doing this thing now, and Karen Page is, running her own restaurant or something, and I think they'll have a totally different status quo, and that'll make it really easy for them to kind of separate them, or they think it will be. But I don't know. Hopefully, I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't need it to be exactly the same show. Don't get me wrong, but they just need to make it clear what it is.
We can continue this discussion about Disney Plus shows because we have some super chats about another Disney Plus show about a superhero lawyer.
Yeah.
Like that segue. Where are we? Hayden Spring.
Good job. Well, and I imagine that they'll bring... and there's been rumors that this is definitely happening, but I'm sure Charlie Cox will be in that show somewhere. And that'll be the big Disney Plus connective tissue, even though we have already seen him once in the MCU, in an MCU movie.
Yeah. Someone will try to throw a brick at She-Hulk, and he'll just come out of nowhere. Hey, so first of all, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Billy the Kid Lawrence put in a $5 super chat, said, happy to hear the Daredevil show is new, but is a continuation of Netflix series. So we did talk about that a lot, but thank you, Billy the Kid, for bringing that up. He's happy about it. I'm sure a lot of people are.
I'm sure a lot of people will be, yeah. I'm trepidatious about it. I don't trust it, but hopefully it works out okay.
Yes, and Hayden Spring, $4.99. The She-Hulk CG looks real bad.
Looks rough, yeah.
And then he has some other super chats about other things, so if we want to talk about this real quick. I mean, it's the same super chat, but it's different, totally different things, Power Rangers and Star Wars, so.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. I was really surprised that both Power Rangers and Star Wars somehow were in the She-Hulk trailer. That was weird, especially considering that Disney doesn't even have the Power Rangers license anymore.
I mean, don't underestimate Disney, man. They'll get that. They'll get it back.
You think they'll get it back from Hasbro now? They could have rebought it if for some reason they wanted to, I'm sure.
They could get it for pennies on the dollar.
From Saban, or bought out Saban themselves. Isn't that weird that... Sorry, we're talking about something totally different than the question, but isn't it weird, DJ, that back in the day, Disney just bought Power Rangers instead of trying to buy Saban. They wouldn't do that now. They just outright buy Saban.
How much more is it for Saban? Oh, sure. Do it. Just do it.
How much more is it for all of it?
Just get the whole thing. Which Saban properties do you want? Disney responds with yes.
Yes. We sure do. Well, it's funny because they have the rights to the X-Men animated series now because of Fox, but Saban made that show. So I'm not sure how that worked. I don't know if it reverted somewhere, or Saban sold it, or I don't know how that works.
At the end of the Disney Plus X-Men show, is it going to have children lying down going... or whatever that weird logo at the end of the Saban thing was.
Da-da-da-da-da-da! You like children laughing?
With like beach balls, or like, I don't know what they were holding up. It was so weird.
We should make an homage stinger for the channel.
Yeah.
That's that?
It'd be amazing. You have lots of children that you could record laughing.
Or do the old Fox Simpsons one in the theater with the guy who goes shh and then dun 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 dun.
Hi, I'm Paul.
Anyway, I don't have a lot to say yet about the She-Hulk trailer. I think I was kind of nonplussed more than anything. I was weirded out by the CG like everybody else, and I really expected that to look a little bit better. I'm not, and I know I've said this about so many things, DJ, but particularly because there's not anything else going on with her except green skin, and she's larger when she hulks out. I don't understand why that can't just be more forced perspective stuff and green paint. Like, why do I get like
they do not have the patience and the time to do a whole forced perspective shoot. They want to crank this baby out. That takes a lot.
But they wouldn't have to do all of it forced perspective. I guess all I'm saying is do CG when you have to, but if you do a straight-on face shot where you can't even tell how large she's supposed to be, now she's just wearing makeup.
It's true. That is very true.
And I've had this in the movies, too. Which is tons of stuff where it wouldn't be that hard to just put prosthetics on a face or just paint a face.
You think these actors want to sit in a chair for 4 hours? Come on. These are well, she's not even a huge movie actress, but
well, okay, that's fine if that's your priority, but then let the whole internet make fun of you for the fact that your show looks worse than other like network television dramas with CG, much less the theatrical films that have had entire CG creatures that sometimes haven't looked the best, but certainly have looked better than this. And might I add, they kind of promised that their effects would be up to snuff on Disney Plus. And they've been really inconsistent with it. Like, some of their shows, like, most of the effects in WandaVision, save maybe some stuff in that big battle at the end, looked pretty impressive, and it was kind of surprising that that was on TV, and they won a lot of people over on that. I suspect that some of that is because so much of what they shot was sitcom stuff, so they had, the budget saved away for the few big effects pieces they did. And then when they get into a bunch of effects in every episode, now it gets really expensive and it's harder to pull off. There's some really crappy action in The Falcon Winter Soldier, particularly in that first episode.
Donnie St. Pierre says, I'll play Eric on this one. Thor won't even put on a wig. So people in the chat chiming in. Somebody said that... Oh, Mutale says Hulk CGI is still really good. Connor also said that, yeah, he thought Hulk and Abomination looked really good. So maybe it's just they're trying some new method with She-Hulk that people aren't...
Do they mean the CG in that show for those characters, or are they just talking about how, like, the movies could get that right, so why couldn't they get She-Hulk? Like, I'm not
talking about the trailer.
Are you sure? Because honestly, I thought Hulk looked kind of inferior to what he did before also, but I could be wrong about that.
I just can't deal with that whole look. That whole...
I don't like it either.
Smart Hulk look just looks terrible to me. I wasn't taken out by the CG. I did watch this one, actually. I thought, crazy. I never watched trailers.
Shocking.
But I don't want to watch this at all. This looked not for me. Like, more Ruffalo.
Hayden Spring, we'll get to the rest of your super chat. We just haven't finished this part.
Yeah. More Mark Ruffalo Hulk, still sounding as dumb as he does in Ragnarok, but saying like these big, like over the top speeches, like he's now some hero, like he's inducting her into the. It was ridiculous.
Well, and I don't know when this takes place in the timeline exactly, because we've already seen him out of that mode as just regular Bruce Banner again in an after-credit scene.
Yeah, what is Shang-Chi way in the future? I guess that they can say that end credit scene in Shang-Chi was any time. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, I couldn't remember where it was, but I guess it was that movie. Yeah.
When he talks to Captain Marvel, they can kind of just play fast and loose with those after-credit scenes, I guess.
But yeah, they're selling it really hard on a brand of humor that is just not for me, that I can't get excited about. So I'm really reserving judgment until the show comes out, and I will try it. It doesn't look like my thing. If it was just based on that trailer and I didn't know anything. I mean, I'm not a big She-Hulk person, but if I wasn't a Marvel person and I knew nothing about She-Hulk whatsoever, I probably would be put off by it enough that I wouldn't watch it. But I want to think that they're kind of just taking a lot of jokes out of context and stringing together a trailer to look like this because that's how they want to sell the show. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't sell me. What is the joke at the end? There's no oh, should we take that to go? And they just get up and leave. I don't even get the joke. Oh, they're having sex.
It's supposed to be sexual, I guess.
The joke? There's no innuendo. There's no joke. It's just they're about to have sex, and it's Marvel, so you laugh now. What?
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening? I didn't even understand it at all.
Well, I guess it might be shocking to some people that they're actually going to have remotely, I don't want to say explicit, but sexual relationships in a Marvel thing. How big of a deal was it to have anything close to a sex scene in the first 10 minutes of Eternals? Oh my god, human beings are doing things people do. It's crazy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that trailer was not doing it for me.
It has felt for a few years like we're really avoiding just romances in superhero movies in general. It was a breath of fresh air to see. It's a tragic romance and it doesn't come together at the end, of course. But just the Batman Catwoman thing in the Batman was refreshing. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You are allowed to have relationships in superhero movies. So maybe they're actually playing that up a little bit with She-Hulk, because that's such a big part of her character in the comics, apparently. Because I didn't know that, but that's a thing that Dan told me about, that they didn't avoid it. And I guess I respect them for, not trying to avoid that here. But I don't know. I think part of the reason that I'm so lukewarm on it, just at face value, DJ, is She-Hulk is supposed to be kind of a comedic, and it should be something of a comedic show. So I mean, the fact that they're selling it on humor is fine, but she's supposed to be kind of a comedic yin to Hulk's yang, and he's been a joke for a while. That's the problem, is there's not any contrast.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's just another nail in the Hulk coffin for me. Very depressing.
HB Haga says her last client of the series needs to be Howard the Duck. Maybe not with that CGI. I like the title.
We wouldn't even be able to say that's a duck.
That's a duck, man. DJ, I kind of wish that more of the Disney Plus shows have gone with titles like this. It's kind of weird that we get Hawkeye and Moon Knight and now She-Hulk Attorney at Law.
Yeah, what is it? Why can't they keep that consistent? From the beginning, they haven't been able to keep any of the naming convention consistent.
And I don't mean that they have to have that everything has to have a subtitle, but it would be kind of cool if we're gonna name it. I'm with you. It would be cool if we're gonna name any of them like comic books. Name more of them like comic. I mean, even in comics, of course, you don't always have a subtitle. You'll have Spider-Man and Amazing Spider, et cetera, et cetera. But even with that, you didn't have a book that just had Spider-Man with no subtitle in it until, 89? Was it that long before that book started? Or was it, mid to late 80s? I forget now. I'm rusty. But, most of them did kind of have that. I'm just not sure why She-Hulk was the one.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, I guess it's the ones that they feel like they need to explain the character as much as they can in the title. she's an attorney. This is gonna be a law show. She's a female, and she's Hulk. Let's get all of it in there so we can cast a wide net.
Oh, so it's the same reason that a lot of things have to have the Marvel logo almost larger than the character you've never heard of.
Yeah.
Marvel's Moon Knight!
Like it was Marvel's The Avengers. The only one to ever do that. Still so weird in the list of Marvel titles.
Well, it made sense overseas because Britain had a TV show called The Avengers. But that's not even how they solved that problem there. They changed the title of the movie and called it Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. And, like, the actual movie could have been called that. Like, here. And if it had, then maybe Age of Ultron wouldn't have felt the need to go Avengers, and then the movie ends.
Robert Wilde says, I would call the new Daredevil show Daredevil the Man Without Fear.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't have that title.
It has to have some kind of subtitle.
I think it'll have to have some sort of subtitle. Like, if they're saying it's not an extension of that first show, wouldn't it be really weird if you had... You know what it'll be, right? If they don't do it, you know what it'll be? It'll be Daredevil is the Netflix show, and then this is Marvel's Daredevil.
Marvel's Daredevil.
It's like, well, it was pretty clearly already Marvel's. You know, everybody knows what company owns that. Okay, let's go to the rest of his super chat. He just brought up kind of a major thing at the beginning of his super chat that we had to spend a few minutes on.
Yes, he did. And he says, how many episodes of Power Rangers SPD can I make you watch through Patreon?
Oh, well, I hate to suggest that you not make a request on Patreon and support the channel and give me money, but SPD is inevitably a thing that I'll cover with Jason on Father and Son. I think that might be after Time Force, the next one he's really wanting to do. So if you can think of something else you'd really like me to do a request on, I would pick a different thing, because we're definitely going to do that eventually, and we're going to do a whole season overview, and I don't take requests for season overviews because I just don't have the time to do things outside of what I might be already deciding to do on my own. So yeah, that's the answer to that. But that will happen. I can't promise when, but that will happen.
He doesn't want your stinking money, Hayden. What's next? Oh, yeah, and also...
No, I do, Brian. I really do.
He says, also, I should stop buying Star Wars games. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Did you play a crappy one, or... I'm having to spend too much of my time this evening, DJ, just getting rid of spam bots in the comments.
Yeah, we gotta add the welder as a. I'm in the welder, so I can't do that because I'm not an admin. We gotta take care of that because I would do that for you. I'm sorry that you're having to do that. That's
okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to complain. Like, I could do it. It's not a big deal. But no, I'm just annoyed that this is the second live show in a row where we've been... Not in a row. Luckily, we didn't get him last night when I was doing a show with Jason, mercifully. But the day before, when I did my Strange New World show, we kind of ended the show off with those chat bots.
Well, at least they're considerate and they don't do it in front of kids. When Jason's not here.
Well, you've jinxed it now. It'll be the worst it's ever been next time we do a Father and Son.
Well, I'm sorry you're buying Star Wars games that you're not enjoying, Hayden. I hope that stops. Or I hope you stop doing it. Next, I skipped a super chat because we were talking about Disney Plus stuff. From Robert Wilde, he says, will there be a call-in show today?
No, I don't know when we'll do that again. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it so that DJ can be heard by the caller, and I kind of don't want to do it again until we figure that technical issue out, because it gets awkward for the caller, and it's kind of unfair to DJ, so... We'll work that out. Last time we did a call-in show, I thought I had it, and the thing I tried didn't work, so.
Oh, he said he bought all he could on Steam on May the 4th. It was like $70. Wow. Well.
Oh, he's just saying he spent too much on them.
Yeah. Well, at least you'll enjoy them.
Well, I hope you have fun with them, yeah. Yeah, I got a couple Star Wars games in the big sale that they did over Christmas last year, where I think I bought like $150 worth of games on Steam, and wouldn't you know it, I've played probably 2 of them. I'm finding I'm not loving Steam as a platform, but maybe at some point I'll get, a box or something so I don't have to actually play them at my computer. But yeah, the performance with my machine with those has been a little bit hit and miss. Like, once I get them running, it doesn't seem to matter what it is, it's fine, DJ, but sometimes they crash on me, like, repeatedly. Like, just booting them sometimes becomes a big issue.
Oh. Well, that's a bummer. White Castle in the chat.
Oh my god, White Castle is back.
$5.
The White Castle thing is back. Now there's someone calling himself White Castle.
Yeah, this is first for me. I'm new to this. He says, this is fun and all, but has DJ been to White Castle?
So, first of all, have you ever been to White Castle?
I've not, no.
I haven't either. I've never had that. Okay, so at the end...
we have, like, the South equivalent of it called... Oh, what is that called? They're called something different here, and I can't remember what it is. It's like they have the little bird... Anyway, carry on.
Well, I'll catch you up to speed on this, DJ. So, the title I gave to the Doctor Strange 2 spoiler cast was Doctor Strange in the spoiler cast of Madness, and naturally, of course, that ended up being something of a double entendre, because that show went completely off the rails and ended up being a 3-hour and 17-minute show. We don't know where the time went. We were all sucked into a vortex. We were in a dimension where time moved at a different rate, and the last 20 minutes of that show were absolutely bonkers. Something bizarre happened in the comments. I think our loopiness somehow affected the viewers, and they created, I don't even know how this happened, an inside joke out of, as far as any of us could tell, me, Austin, and Connor, nothing we had said or that had come up. And all of a sudden, most of the comments became about White Castle and trying to get us to go to White Castle and, like, wondering if we had gone, and all these things. And the super chats were infected by White Castle. I mean, like, we probably made $20 off of the White Castle joke. It was just bizarre. And it's still here. It's still happening.
Keep them coming, guys. Keep it going.
Well, after the show...
Crystal, that's right. It's called Crystal.
I want to say we weren't... Oh, okay. I've never heard of that.
Crystal with a K. They have the same little tiny burgers.
It sounds like a Kryptonian restaurant. So, after the show, I want to say we weren't still recording when we did this. I wish we had been. Connor and I decided to see how close we were to a White Castle, because we thought it would be funny if one or both of us at some point tried to film ourselves going there to keep going with whatever this inside joke was that we don't understand, right? And we discovered that Connor was like 14, 15 hours away from one. I was 4 hours away from one.
Wow. Yeah, I think they're mostly
then
north.
Austin looked it up, and he was 3 hours away from one, and he's not even in the same country we're in.
Yeah, there must be one right on the border, because I think they're like a northern thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'll look it up. That'll be what I'll do this evening. See how far one is for me.
It was bizarre. I'll never understand it, and if there is an explanation, I don't think I want to know it. I think I like this being a mystery.
Well, I'm assuming it's in some reference to the movie Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, but you're not Harold or Kumar.
Yeah. I don't know. But I don't know what it had to do with anything we had been saying.
Well, that made $5. Not a bad investment.
Thanks for the super chat.
I have not been to White Castle, sorry. But
when and if you finally see that movie, because I hate to spoil too much for you, DJ, watch at least the last half an hour of that spoiler cast, because it gets insane.
No, I definitely will listen to the whole thing if I do watch that movie.
It was the most fun I've had in the spoiler cast in particular, but maybe even on camera in months. It was a delightful show.
That's awesome.
Okay, moving right along.
All right, from Ben's script, it looks like the closest one to me is 3 hours and 22 minutes.
Oh wow!
Yeah, not down
You're
here
in
either.
second place.
Ben's script super. $10. As someone who does continuity work in the film industry, I appreciate you being a stickler for continuity. Question: do you think Disney will be okay with going with Matt being Catholic? Great question.
That's an excellent question, yeah.
Fantastic question. We didn't even think about that.
If not, that's one of the things that will be really obnoxious and irritating, right? Where if they have to just totally avoid that and never talk about it, I'm going to wish that it was just reinvented from the ground up, and I wouldn't want to see a Matt that wasn't Catholic, but it's kind of worse if they pay lip service to it just because they've dealt with it before and they want to pretend like it's canonical with that other show. That's what I'm saying, is it's going to affect their storytelling.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's worse, if they ignore it completely, or if he's just like, if they just mention it like every so often and it has nothing to do with anything? Like, that's probably even worse.
No, that's worse. Yeah. Now, I don't know where I think they'll go with that, honestly. Because I can see
Have
why
they ever touch religion at all in the MCU?
We
besides like, there's some people that worship Thanos, or there's people that Doctor Strange, like,
besides Doctor Strange, like as far as actual, Earth-based religions, like Judeo-Christian stuff, or anything else, Muslim, anything, not to my recollection. There might be a place or two where it's just barely mentioned, although I will say I think it's more likely on television than it would be in film.
Interesting.
Like, I don't think that they're necessarily going to take the kinds, like, as much risk as I'd like to see even in the Disney Plus shows, but that's at least not, we might lose, like, kids and families to the show. And look, again, I understand that, because I meant to say this earlier, I know some people are probably going to resist the idea that that Daredevil on Disney Plus must be less violent and less, hard R and stuff, because, well, they did put the Netflix shows on there. Yeah, but a couple of things. That is under a wall, under like a parental guidance wall, and they're going to want everybody and his dog to be able to see those. So, like, having the Netflix shows there does make me think that they might be, and because of a few things I know about, even though I haven't watched the whole show, with Moon Knight, like, they might be able to be a little harder edged than I thought they might go a couple of years ago. They're not gonna do the Kingpin door scene. They're not gonna have the flashback with his dad and the hammer. Like, that kind of thing is not gonna be in these shows. They'll just never go that far. I think even Deadpool is gonna be pulled back to some degree. Even though it's going to be rated R. I think they're going to have that trying to make everybody happy problem to some degree. And if they don't, and the stories are good, I'll be pleasantly surprised. Because, again, understand that the important thing is not brutality. The important thing is not tying writers' hands behind their backs to the point where they're having a difficult time telling great stories because there's just this big laundry list of things they're not allowed to do that get in the way of the stories they want to tell and the kinds of stories that the characters really call for. But also, a lot of people have been upset with Boba Fett, with the Book of Boba Fett show, because and I haven't talked about that, and I never reviewed Mandalorian Season 2. I liked it, for the most part, for the record, but Book of Boba Fett, people have complained about because Boba Fett, now that he's got his own show, has got to be a lot more altruistic than that character typically is, and makes him seem like not that character to people. And I don't have a big dog in that fight because I'm not a big Boba Fett guy, and I don't know a lot about that character, except that I do get that he's a ruthless bounty hunter, and he seemed to be that guy in Mandalorian Season 2, and then it seemed like Disney said, oh, you're not allowed to make him exactly what he's supposed to be because now he's got his own show. And so it starts to inch a little closer maybe to something like Maleficent or Cruella de Vil or something, where as soon as we give a villain their own show. And I mean, I get that Daredevil's not a villain, but the fact that they're doing that kind of stuff on Disney Plus, trying to appeal to everybody, afraid that they're going to lose the kids, makes me think that there's no way that Daredevil could continue to be the show that it was. And also, if it was, they'd go, it's Daredevil Season 4. Like, they wouldn't be separating it out. Part of the reason that they're doing that has got to be because of that. I would think. Okay, so I just realized I made a giant mistake. which is, I forgot that we were starting at 8 tonight instead of 7, even though we've been at the 8 o'clock time for quite a few weeks now. And I usually tell Brandon to come for After Dark at 9 o'clock, and I told him that tonight because I forgot about that. So he actually just arrived.
Oh, that's all the ruckus.
And so I might just go ahead and put him on camera and let him do the rest of the show with us. Otherwise, he's going to be kind of just sitting off by himself for the next however much longer we go, possibly an hour, on his phone. So, yeah.
Could you just turn the camera and as he's sitting over there, so he's just in frame, awkwardly sitting behind you? I hear him.
I mean, that'd be fun for me.
Fun for me. And I think viewers as well. But yeah, hop him in here.
Connor says...
Super chats.
But let me read this comment from Connor real quick. Book of Boba Fett was the goofiest schlock. I laughed my ass off and couldn't wait to check it out every week. Then those stupid Mandalorian episodes had to come in and ruin the vibe. I've only seen the first 2 episodes and enjoyed things about it, but already felt like it was just more of the Mandalorian without the Mandalorian, knowing that he shows up later. But I didn't like that it didn't have its own sense of pacing. Okay, everybody give me just a second. I'm going to rework what I'm doing here. And DJ, if it gets... Well, actually, no, I don't have to do that because Brandon's got his headphones. Hey, Brandon, why don't you go ahead and come over and hang out with us on the show here?
Okay.
Because I told you too early of a time, and we've got possibly another hour on the show. So
well,
I don't...
wondered about that.
Yeah, well, I just, like I told the viewers just now, I completely forgot that we were starting at 8 and not 7. So we would either have to shut the show down now, or you'd have to just be hanging out by yourself for an hour.
I mean, either way, works for me. I will gladly join.
So yeah, everybody give me just a moment.
Unless I got a cord I can keep over here now.
Oh, cool. I might actually, until I get another one, borrow that from you, because I'm having issues with this one.
Okay.
Anyway.
Darn fine cup of coffee says, just realized DJ kind of looks like Master Chief. Does Master Chief have a face?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Darn fine cup of coffee says, just realized DJ kind of looks like Master Chief. Does that mean my face looks like a helmet?
Yeah, I thought that was... I don't know anything about Halo, like, at all, but I thought that was supposed to be one of those characters like Judge Dredd where you weren't supposed to see his face, and that was... You know, one of the many things that people were complaining about with that show not actually feeling like a Halo show, but I haven't watched that. I don't know about any of this. I've just heard that.
I look like the guy in that show, maybe.
Oh.
If they reveal his face in that show.
You look like Mandalorian. You don't look
like all the generic helmeted characters. My face is very flat. I just look like a big helmet.
You look like a helmet. Okay, so while Brandon appeared, special guest spot from Brandon.
Hello.
My apologies to everybody. Brandon's here.
Oh.
I mean... Hey, what's on your cup this time, DJ?
What's in it? Still just water.
No, what is it? It's that Batman cup. Okay. From the side, I couldn't tell what it was. It just looked like shadowy guy on red.
Shadowy guy. See, I'm also always confused with my face for this shadowy helmet face mask guy.
You look like Batman in shadow and rain. As long as there's enough shadow and rain in front of your face, you look exactly like Pattinson's Batman.
I could pass for anyone if there's enough shadow and rain involved. Don't underestimate me.
I've seen shadows and I've seen rain.
Zombie John Kelly. DJ kind of looks like the welder, not gonna lie. That is true. I get that you wouldn't believe how many times I get that. God.
Wait, you mean he looks like a big...
I'm telling you, helmets, masks, it's everything.
You know, all you have to do is take your hand and put it right in front of your mouth, and you look like everybody Tom Hardy has ever played.
Like this.
No one cared about me until I put my hands in my face.
Well, you'd have to be bald to play shins on, though.
That's true. You have to be bald to play a lot of things.
Yeah, he likes the bald look. Unless he's in like a lobster tank. He goes with the hair.
Well, that's true. You might want to pull up a little bit just so that people can hear you, okay?
Well, if
at all possible. Just kick crap out of the way. Yep. It's fine.
And the leg of your
just don't kick the wire that...
Oh, you know what? Yeah, this chair is bigger than the one I used to use. So that makes it complicated. Oh, I'm going to get all claustrophobic. I'm kidding. Okay. Moving right along.
Right along to Billy the Kid Lawrence.
Hi!
$5 super chat.
Now the real party begins.
Uh-oh.
We got Brandon.
We'll try not to devolve into an After Dark like we did when the Four Horsemen were here. There's not Dan, so it shouldn't happen as readily. But
Yeah, it's the three horsemen of the almost apocalypse.
yeah. Austin St. John has just been arrested along with a bunch of others for paycheck program-related fraud scandal. It's jail time. Is this real? What is Billy talking about?
Wait, what? Is that true?
I'll read it again. Billy the Kid Lawrence, $5. Austin St. John has just been arrested along with a bunch of others for a paycheck program-related fraud scandal. It's jail time! Exclamation point. Is that real?
I'm pulling it up right now. Are you ready?
Breaking news. Breaking news. From the Captain
Breaking,
Show.
yeah.
All my news.
Once again, we're going to pretend like we're journalists while we read other people's news. This is from comicbook.com. Power Ranger star Austin St. John charged with fraud. Here, I'll set this up so that you can see it too, DJ. Hang on.
I mean, that's fine.
1 second, everybody. Okay, anyway, Department of Justice has named 18 people in a federal indictment. So when he said other people, I was wondering if he was meaning also celebrities or just, I guess just people, charging them with violations of conspiracy to commit wire fraud in the Eastern District of Texas. And the group of 18 defendants includes Power Ranger star Austin St. John, is the original Red Ranger. We all know who Austin St. John is. If convicted, the 18 charged could be facing up to 20 years in prison. According to the indictment, Geiger, who is the Austin St. John's original name, is alleged to have been a part of a scheme to defraud lenders in the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program. Michael Hill is alleged to have recruited others to use an existing business or create a business to submit applications to obtain PPP funding. And on the applications, the defendants are alleged to have misrepresented material information. Yeah, and then there's a list of all the other people that this happened with, none of whom seem to be famous. But maybe someone is,
Now
I
they
don't
are.
know.
That was the guy who was arrested with the original Red Ranger.
DJ, that's shocking.
There's a Red Ranger curse, man.
Man, that's crazy. I watch his YouTube channel. Not like
Yeah.
religiously, but I do.
Oh man.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like,
I've met him in person twice.
Your money may have inadvertently gone to funding check fraud.
Wow, that's true.
Fraud is a crazy thing. I'm 100% not sticking up for him because I know literally nothing about it because of what you just told me. But
Yeah.
like, there are situations where like celebrities can get it into a situation.
They had no
other
idea
people
what
are-
they were getting into.
Yeah, they're just kind of like people that they trust, or like just don't worry, we got your finances all figured out. We're gonna make it work. He could have
Yeah.
just got roped in, or he could have been fully involved. I have no idea, but that's crazy.
Buster said, well, it's less creepy and criminal than Allison Mack. Well, it's definitely not creepy.
Oh, no.
It's
He wasn't
it's either just underhanded cheating in order to have more money in his pocket, or like DJ said, it could be that he didn't even know what he was getting himself into. But yeah, I'm not taking up for him either. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but
Yeah, we'll see.
Isn't
See
all
what
cheating
happens. That's
underhand?
crazy.
man, that's yeah. But you know what? I also say big and giant quite a bit.
Yeah,
as well.
It's all right.
I'm just saying it's underhanded before it's creepy. Was my point.
Point taken.
Yeah. If you need a synonym, there are not a synonym. If you need an adjective, there are better.
You know, the other day I bought
Dagan Spear, this check fraud was not sponsored by Captain Logan. So, like, sorry, real quick. I hate it when people that I like or people that have, because obviously I say this all the time, but like I don't really know actors I like personally, so I don't know anything about their personal lives and who they really are and all of that, of course, no matter how they might present themselves. But it's always disheartening when somebody that you admire, really in any way, by their performance or the way they act as human beings or whatever, turn out to have done something illegal. But at least a thing like this isn't, it doesn't make him a great role model for your children, of course, but at least he's not like Bill Cosby or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
dear.
he didn't murder someone with a samurai sword like the other Red Ranger, or beat his kids and wife like the other Red Ranger. I mean, he's
Oh,
not the
dear.
worst Red Ranger.
Don't get cast as a Red Ranger.
Yeah, it's a curse, man.
Maybe don't work with Red Rangers either. That's kind of
A lot of stuff. Well, there won't be another Forever Red. We can confidently say that now.
Oh, but it's crazy because he was just in an episode 2 years ago.
That's right.
He just did one.
He could have been frauding it up during that episode.
Well, one thing we can be pretty sure of, unless he beats this very quickly somehow and doesn't go to jail for any amount of time, is that Netflix thing that David Yost was trying really hard to get spearheaded. Do you know about this?
Yeah.
I was already pretty sure that wouldn't happen. Really not going to happen now. He was gonna try to get the whole gang back together and had a way in his script that even Trang was going to be there, but she's but she doesn't. I mean, she's deceased.
They were going to Harry her?
Rest in peace. No, and he said that wasn't how they were going to do it. I don't know what he meant, but he was like, "There's this really clever way where in spirit she's here," and I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, there's this really clever. Did you guys see No Way Home? We're going to use footage from the original 1994 show, and she's just not going to speak. It's going to be really, really good, cutting edge stuff.
Even though they're all supposed to be like in their 50s, so they'd also have to age her up in the. This gets morbid at some point. Anyway.
Yeah, David Yost would be like, "Come on, man, you ruined my plan." I mean, they got another Red Ranger they could use. They could use good old Rocky.
Now I'm gonna think about that every time I play the Power Rangers board game, and I'm playing as Gold Ranger, or well, I usually play as Trey, so I guess that's all right.
Yeah, you can. There's another Gold. You got to back up.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
This is unfortunate.
Yeah, let's lift our spirits a
Jason
little bit.
think?
Back to Ben's Script Super, $5.
He's gonna be like, "What is fraud?" And I'm gonna be like, "I don't know how well I can even explain what he apparently did, but I'll try."
Oh.
Anyway,
I've seen too many check frauders in my day.
well, yeah, I mean, you used to do a job that involved some of that,
Yeah.
right?
Brandon used to be a bounty hunter where he would hunt these check frauders down and bring them
That's
to
right.
justice.
No, I was actually pretty good at loss prevention at my previous job, one of my previous
So
jobs.
you had to deal with fraud, I'm sure.
I did, yeah, and counterfeit money, and, criminal stuff.
Well, are you ready to move on?
Yeah, we're going back to Ben Script Super, $5.
Hi.
The reason we don't do forced perspective on She-Hulk is because that would require taking their time and not cranking it out for the sake of content.
That's just
Yeah,
what DJ said.
Basically
Yeah.
said that. Yeah,
But I'm glad you mentioned the content thing, because that's the problem right now, right? Is that it's a lot more about, we've just got the YouTube channel mentality right now for entertainment at large, which is it doesn't matter what it is, you just need stuff coming out all the time. And the problem is it kind of works with a lot of things and on a lot of people. It's like the more that's coming out, the more people feel like they have to be subscribed to that service. And it's a short-term thing, because in the long term, people will lose interest if it doesn't, meet particular standards, I would think.
The type of stupid things that I see on YouTube these days, and I'm just like, what is going on here? I don't understand some of these things, and then I wonder, am I getting too old, or does it really just not make sense?
Zombie John Kelling, you can't spell cursed without red. I mean, there's an S in the middle, but still.
That's good.
All right, go ahead, DJ.
Connor Nielsen, $4.99.
Oh, thanks, Connor. What's up, buddy?
You could have just asked him after the show. He says...
You got my
"Bad
number?
news." He says, "Bad news. I got COVID." Oh, good.
Oh, I
grief.
heard about that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, sorry to hear that, Connor.
I didn't know that. You're supposed to be coming here in a couple of months, man. You better get that straightened out. Good news. But the good news is, he says, he had an excuse to watch The Killing and The People Under the Stairs again. What are your go-to comfort movies / TV shows? Great question. I hope you feel better, man. That's a big one.
I'll go first because everybody, kind of knows me and the kinds of things I'm likely to say. But I don't know, if I'm under the weather, it tends to be like the Star Trek or Tick, just stuff I've seen a million times that if I fall asleep, it's not that big of a deal. But one of my favorite movies to talk about all the time is Field of Dreams. I tend to watch that when I'm not feeling great. But what are yours, guys?
I've got a couple, of course. I'm always going to watch Back to the Future, but I also
Sure,
like to
sure.
watch Amadeus.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great one. So I've seen both those like thousands of times.
Yeah. My go-to TV show, ever since 2012, I guess, maybe 2011, whenever I got Netflix for the first time, because I didn't grow up with TV, and I didn't get into TV until then, is The Office. I watched The Office, like what I said, when I first got Netflix, and then when I got cancer in 2012 and I was on chemo, I was just laying in bed all day and I couldn't really do anything, had no energy. That show really got me through it. It made me laugh, and I watched it over and over. And that's like a show that I've seen. That's the show I've seen the most. I can quote everything, and I used to like. That's a show I used to like watch or listen to like a podcast. Just have it on my headphones while I was like cleaning the house, and I can just, because I've seen it so much, I just know every scene and I can just listen to the words. And just recently, I've been having a really hard time at work. My work's been really terrible lately, and I was feeling really down, and my wife just put that show on, and it cheered me up, and it felt very nostalgic for like I said, when I used to watch it. So that's my go-to show. Movie, sick movie I like to watch is Peter Pan. Either most likely the 2003 live-action Peter Pan, which I think is the best version. Also things like Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka. I don't usually go to movies when I'm sick though. I usually just watch something new. That's like my excuse to catch up on things. I don't feel like I'm wasting time. Like, I'm sick, I have to sit here anyway. Let's crank out some new movies.
Now that you say that, I guess the last time I was sick, I did the same thing, because I watched Edward Scissorhands for the first time when I got COVID over Christmas.
And you've never seen that before?
I had never seen it.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Finally did that.
That surprises me.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I got really sick.
Like, I'm surprised you hadn't seen it because it's a Burton film.
Well, there's a lot of Burton movies. I'm not a big Burton guy.
Yeah. I haven't seen it either, actually.
Have you not?
No.
And I was glad that I saw it before I talked about Batman Returns again on Rewind, because that was the movie that he made right before that, and you can see a lot of creatively just connected tissue between those things, but also all the missteps in not sticking weirdly to the Edward Scissorhands formula, where, like, if in some ways, if only he had remade that movie again, but his characters were more sympathetic, like Edward Scissorhands, even though it would have been repeating himself in derivative, it would have been a better movie.
I remember when I got sick and I blew through the whole second season of Bates Motel. That's how I watched that, because I was sick as a dog, and I was like all day. I just binged through it the whole day. So yeah, it's usually new stuff, new things for the Deechster.
When DJ was talking earlier about when he's down and in not a great mood, another thing he likes to do for catharsis is he just calls me and screams at me like I'm his boss. That he just, anything he's not happy about with work, he just calls me and pretends like I'm responsible.
Is that why you yell at me? Because he yells at you and it just rolls down?
Yeah,
it's a
DJ
vicious
at the top?
cycle. It's a vicious cycle.
It's
I'm not
true.
the top. I'm just a cog.
Oh, you're top bully.
It's true, yeah. And he'll deny it all day long, but...
Yeah. But like we established at the beginning, I can't stand these guys, so...
Again, that's why there's internet in between us. We could just walk on over, but... Anyway, moving right along.
Uh-oh, here we go. Try not to...
None of that was true. I was joking.
You gotta spell it out.
None of
The
it.
part where you yell at me... That's no.
Oh, that's true.
Just
that's
kidding.
totally.
That's true.
Just kidding.
The motivation behind it was the joke. Shut up,
So,
Brandon.
Robert Wild wants to
Oh.
know Brandon. Brandon, don't talk for forever, but Robert Wild wants to know Brandon, thoughts on Strange New Worlds?
Oh.
Yeah, a couple people were kind of miffed that I didn't have you on that review.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
was just working it in where I could work it in.
Sure.
I would have loved to have just jumped on camera after you and I watched it, but I had stuff
Like
going
how
on
we
that
felt
night.
about it or something like that. I enjoyed it, actually. I had some of the same thoughts that Cap did on it, but I thought that it was interesting to see with the same showrunner, right? What is his name? I'm drawing a blank. Akiva?
Goldsman, yeah.
Yeah. He's
He's just going to say all the same stuff I said already.
It's really fascinating to see that they've made a... Well, we talked about this the other night, and I was in complete agreement that they made like a coherent storyline. I like the fact that I I feel like we even got some character development in the first episode. So I was really pleased about that because I'm sick and tired of watching Michael Burnham just brood like she's doing the best the best work of her life when it clearly sucks. So I'm
Acting
giving my
means
thumbs
crying.
up. I'm giving my thumbs up for Strange New Worlds, having seen one episode.
Yeah, Busted Sim says, "See, I just don't care about new Star Trek anymore." Hey,
I didn't
neither did
either.
Neither did these guys.
Well,
and
he doesn't like the show though. He's watched it too, and he was talking back and forth with me a little bit. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, understand my standards are too low because compared to everything else they've made so far, just being coherent is a giant step up. So like, I get all of your issues with it, Busted Sim, but I was like kind of half broken by what we'd had before, particularly with Picard, and just coming immediately off of that and seeing a thing that where somebody is at least kind of acknowledging that they understand how to I mean, I've talked about all this already, but like how to just write a basic story formula was really refreshing, and that it wasn't insanely cynical. And his big issue reading his live comments, and I didn't talk about this while I did the live show because I missed it live, and I went back and looked at some of the comments, and I saw this later, was he doesn't like the familiarity on the bridge. And that like the kind of modern MCU humor that he feels like kind of permeates this show and some of the things that they've made, where like modern TV has to have just too much self-referentialness and everybody acting like they know each other too well, even if they just met, and even in a professional situation. Mm-hmm. I get all those complaints, but something that maybe I didn't drive home enough in that video is that the thing to compare it most to is Star Trek 09 and those movies, and they have that, and I really hated that back then. I'm just used to it now. Like, good Star Trek for these people is going to be that before it's going to be TNG or TOS.
Of course.
I really can't expect them to get past that. If it's Secret Hideout, if it's Bad Robot making it, the best I can hope for is people get along at all. And this was the show this is what's so funny about it, and why my perspective is so different now 5 years later. It took us 5 years to get to just basic okay storytelling. And I'm just stoked because it's basic okay storytelling.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying a lot of things about the show. I really am. I'm not saying that when I made that video, I was like overselling it on purpose or anything. But I was more jazzed about it than I would have been if it was the first thing we got. This show is what I was afraid we were going to get in the first place, and now I'm so happy that's what we got. That's where I'm at with it. And I still think it's better than 09. I think it's about on par with Beyond. Even Beyond isn't exactly what I want, but it's just a step in the right direction.
It's funny that because something you said just a little bit ago, I feel like Next Gen would totally still work in today's TV environment, and I feel that way because I've seen the Orville work in today's TV environment. So I don't know why they couldn't try to have at least returned to a little bit of form, and that's why I was so disappointed with Picard.
I don't want to get into all of that, but the main reason is because you've just got people who don't actually like or care about Star Trek.
Well, yeah.
And we've talked about all this, but
yeah. Understood.
And so, yeah, this is baffling. And I suspect that something is going on there that we can't know right now.
So do you want the 100-year mission in 30 years?
No, I don't want to read about any of this because I'll just get depressed. No, I do. I mean, I guess I would like to know eventually, but I need some distance from it.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving right along.
I totally get it, man. 2017 was 5 years ago. It's been 5 years since we have had decent, basic storytelling in a Spider-Man thing or something that feels like Spider-Man. So I imagine something could please me very easily if it just felt like a Spider-Man story at this point. I'm in a similar boat.
Yeah, but like as much as. And I'm more with you on this than I used to be, but as much as you didn't like No Way Home, it's still like 50 times more Spider-Man than Discovery and Picard are Star Trek. Just trust me on this. It is.
Yeah. Where are we? Zombie John Kelling. This might be the first super chat we cannot answer on the show. Favorite. Oh, okay. Never mind. We can't answer it. I thought he said favorite controversial Red Ranger, but he says favorite
non-controversial Red Ranger, which is hilarious.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, Rocky is. I mean, you love Rocky. Rocky's your favorite. It's your go-to. He's your gold standard for not only a Red Ranger but an actor in general.
A gold standard for a Red Ranger. How about the red standard?
I'll take him over Michael Burnham. I'm gonna say Connor, the Red Ranger from Dino Thunder.
Oh yeah. That's the move. That's the choice. He's great. SPD Red Ranger is great. I like Leo a lot from Lost Galaxy. I like Leo more than Andros. I know Andros is a big favorite.
Yeah, but he's like, a horrible actor.
And he's so stoic and like dull.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because his brother is the same species, alien race, and he's completely different. He's like joking around all the time.
Well, it's supposed to be pathos because of his sister. You see, but he just hams it up too hard, and I don't know. He's taking it too seriously while simultaneously just not really being much of an actor.
Fun. And it's cool that they did the exact opposite in Lost Galaxy, where in Lost Galaxy, the Red Ranger is the alien from space, and he's the one that's already a Ranger, and everyone else has to like jump in. In Lost Galaxy, almost everybody is supposed to be on the spaceship, and he's the stowaway, and he's the one he's like the Eisen Ronin character, doesn't know.
I didn't know that. I'll have to actually watch that at some point.
Yeah, it's not entirely true because the Green Ranger gets dragged in, and he's just like a mechanic, and like the Yellow Ranger is actually from another planet. But yeah, it's kind of a reversal, at least for the Red Ranger it is.
Speaking of Power Rangers real quick, so I mentioned earlier, and with the playing music, that Jason and I are watching through Time Force right now. And I had never seen past the pilot of that, maybe like an occasional episode here and there. But DJ, the Yellow Ranger in that, we finally got to her first like character episode, and that episode's weird. It's this bizarre time travel thing where she goes back to like the 1800s, but not because of like time travel tech. She just has a dream that turns out not to be a dream, where I don't know what's happening. But that actress is Katie, I think is the character's name. I don't know the actress's name. She is too good for that show.
Oh wow!
I don't know if you've seen much of that show, but I
think the Quantum Ranger, the Sixth Ranger, is also supposed to be a really good actor.
Yeah,
for that material.
And I've never seen him. I'm excited to get there. But
does it elevate the material to have an actor that good?
Sometimes, yeah, certainly. But it gets inconsistent if your cast is mixed. Mm-hmm. Where like Dino Thunder was really elevated by having an entire cast of real actors. I think most people that have seen that show would agree with me on this.
And Jason David Frank.
RP, exactly. When Jason David Frank is your worst actor on your show, you know everybody can act, right? Like, because like he's not a good actor, but of the original Mighty Morphin crew, he's on par with everybody else, like except for maybe Austin St. John. Regardless of his 25-year later apparent fraud.
We have to preface a lot of things now. We can't just say
we can't say anything.
That's the world we live in.
It's so unfortunate. But anyway, oh my God, what was I talking about? So space is the antithesis to that, and Jason and I talked about this recently, or somewhat recently on Father and Son, when we did our overview on this show, where it was some of the best world building and best writing in Power Rangers up to that point, but the whole cast, pretty bad actors. Like, nobody really knew what they were doing in that show. Time Force is mixed, where like it's got in the Yellow Ranger, like this really understated, doesn't even realize she's in Power Rangers kind of performance, and like not taking it too seriously, but just like, I don't know, knows how to act, knows how to make it feel natural and authentic. And then on the other side, you have Jen Scott, who is a fun character, and I think her acting maybe gets better through the show, I have been told, and I've seen her in videos and stuff, and she seems like a cool person, but like, she is insanely over the top and kind of bad. And then you have everything in between with everybody else. Like, Trip is fine, but not like a really good actor. I don't know. It's an interesting spread of talent in that show.
it's crazy because the Yellow Ranger she's not been in like anything else. She was in one episode of Seventh Heaven, just a bunch of Power Ranger stuff. The Company We Keep in 2010, some movie, and that's like it.
Who are we talking about? The girl I mentioned from Time Force?
Yeah, the Yellow Ranger is like.
Oh, I was hoping maybe she
really good.
went off and had a career, but I think she's surprisingly good.
She was in a TV movie called Boyne Falls in 2018 is her last credit, but yeah. That's a bummer.
Surprising because
Time Force,
of the
I tried to
material
watch some. I've never seen Time Force. I tried to start Time Force, and I think that's the one where like the second or third episode is like someone trying to get their driver's license, and it's like a goofy, silly episode, and I was like, and I got checked out. But I think that's what it was. Maybe it was Wild Force.
Yeah, I don't think so. But also, like, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch some of the episodes I've seen so far because I was like dealing with babies at the same time while I was trying to watch the show. So.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting Power Rangers to not be silly, but like that's the one that everyone talks up as like this is the one season, and I was just like, oh, I guess I just wasn't in the mood that day or whatever. But
fair enough. I mean, I had that with Space, but it has a lot more episodes like that.
Yeah. And I've never seen all. I don't know if I've seen all of this. Maybe I have. Maybe I did when Netflix got it. I can't remember. Thomas Lowe, 86. Yeah. Oh, did you ever give your? Yeah, you said Connor. That's right.
Yes. I did. And Brandon doesn't know other Red Rangers except for the one who apparently committed fraud. So
AMC Comics says Jason David.
But I'm going to make him watch more Power Rangers. It's so much fun watching Brandon watch Power Rangers. It's like my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's what we love doing here. AMC Comics says Jason David Frank was a Red Ranger in Zeo, just saying.
That's true.
We know. He sucks. He's the worst.
DJ
He's not the best.
Really dislikes Jason David Frank.
Play it up. No, it's 100% true. Thomas Lowe, 86. Any bad experience meeting celebrities do you like?
I've already told my story on this. I don't really want to do it again. I feel bad. I mean, it's I don't know. It's not a big deal. Like, it's water under the bridge. I'm good now. Like,
no, you have to shame him on the social
No,
media.
I don't. It's not. I'm sure he was just having a bad day that day. It's like, it's whatever.
Celebrities are not allowed to have bad days. They have to give their all and undivided attention to every fan that comes up to them.
See, this has become infamous on the channel because people keep making me bring it up, and I don't have another good story because I haven't had a lot of bad experiences with celebrities. And let me say too that like I don't actively do a lot of signatures and cons and stuff anymore. So it's been a while. I think the last time I really got anything signed was maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I met Kevin Conroy. That might actually be even the last actor at a con that I met and stood in line for. Ever since COVID, even with conventions opening back up, I haven't been super excited about going back.
Who is that actor?
That's Batman animated series.
Oh, okay. What about the Power Rangers convention you went to? When was that?
That was 6 years ago.
Oh, has it been that long?
It's been that long. Yeah, it was 2016.
Man.
But anyway, so yeah, the bad experience I had with an actor was Michael Dorn, who wouldn't give me the time of day when I had him sign a batleth, and I've told that story 3 or 4 times, and I don't feel the need to do it again. But I don't know if either of you guys have even really met actors much.
Well,
if you've
celebrities was the term, but I could tell you a celebrity story, but nobody would know who I'm talking about because it's in well, you might musician circles. Mark O'Connor, who's a very famous violinist, self-taught, does a lot of fiddle and folk music, is a big composer, and I met him a couple of times doing concerts when I was at KU, and when I did the Suzuki Summer Institute when I was growing up for violin. And he was at that Suzuki Institute, but then several years ago, like 7 or 8 years ago now, he said something about the method by which I learned how to play the violin, and he was very disparaging about it. And I took the time to point out the fact that he had done these types of things in the past and that he had been supportive at the time, and he had now changed his opinion, and he raked me through the coals online, and I said, never again. I'm not doing that. He said, this is what a spiteful musician looks like, referring to me, and was like, you don't know what you're talking about. I've done the research, and I was like, I grew up in the program. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I was in the program. And I lost all respect for the guy. I had things signed by him, got rid of him. You know, I just was just like,
Yeah, sometimes never beat your heroes is kind of true.
Wow, what a jerk! Like,
Oh, he was
how
a
could
complete
How could he
jerk.
be so judgmental when he was in the system not that long ago? Like, what? How could you like? What?
We had brought him in to be an
crazy.
adjudicator and to be one of our ultra high professional teachers for the master classes at the institute, and he just turned out ultimately to be not great.
Well, sorry to hear
well-
that, man.
Moral of the story: never meet your heroes, kids, especially violinists.
Connor says he met John Schnepp at a con, and he says there's a reason I gave you my signed copy of Death of Superman Lives. Oh goodness, I wonder what happened there. And he's since passed away. I think. If that's the guy who made that movie, I think it is.
Yeah, it is. That's a
Wow.
bummer.
I kind of wonder what happened with that now. I'm sure at some point Connor might tell me. Let's move on. Sorry, real quick, Brandon. John Kelling, I think it was John. I can't find the comment now. Oh yeah, Cap reacts to Brandon reacting to Power Rangers is a new show. I think that should be a new show. I think I would love to do that.
That'd be hilarious.
It'll
we
be
can
like
rock.
Morphin Mania was, except I'll just pick like really random select episodes, and there'll be me, who is not really a Power Rangers expert but likes talking about Power Rangers, and Brandon, who knows nothing at all.
When we watched that three-parter with the White Ranger, like in the cage match.
Well, no, we watched Green with Evil, which is
Green.
a five-parter. But
Five-parter. The Green. Yes.
you haven't seen
it was a cage match.
White Light, yeah.
I like how you said white the way like in-laws in the South say black. You're like the White Ranger.
You can't even type it in YouTube.
I was just trying to remember which
oh.
Ranger it was for that episode, because it was like I just kept thinking of the Octagon when that used to be on Spike TV. The Octagon, because he's in this like cage and he's fighting, and I don't watch that stuff usually, but here I am watching it on Power Rangers.
So guys, we'll I'll show you more Power Rangers. It'll be great. I'll just make you sample some shows. So folks are asking me more about celebrity interactions. I gotta be honest with you. I've told all the kind of interesting stories I had. Like most of the time when you meet celebrities at cons, most actors and famous comic writers and artists, who's the majority of who I've met, are really nice people and will talk to you for a couple of minutes. But you don't get a lot of time with them, particularly if they're big enough that there's big long lines. Like I did meet Jason David Frank and a lot of other Power Rangers actors, and I don't have a lot to say. Like I stood in a line forever, and then like Jason David Frank specifically was really cool because he always, like, you have to pay for a selfie with him or a picture, but if there's a kid with you, he does that for free, and I think that's really classy. So I've got a picture of him with Jason because of that, which is really cool. But like that's all. I didn't get to talk to him. We didn't spend any time having a conversation. But somebody asked about Katie Lotz. I think AMC. He said you haven't really talked about that. I mean, there's not really much to say. Like, she was really nice. She liked the piece I had her sign because it was in a. it wasn't. It's a print. It wasn't an original art piece, but it was a print from an artist at Planet Comic-Con, who I like a lot, that I bought a couple things from, and pretty photorealistic looking, kind of. I think like 11 by 17 size picture of her that I had gotten the year before, and I had her sign that, and she'd never seen that before, so she thought that was cool. Or maybe she'd seen one or two and was excited about it because she had seen. I can't remember, but like it's not like I had a long conversation with her. But like I said, all the interesting stories I've had, I've kind of told. But anyway,
can I ask you a few questions though?
We don't have time.
Who's your favorite
Go
celebrity
ahead.
you've met?
So again, have talked about this a lot, but hands down, it was Tony Todd, who I did have a long conversation with. For whatever reason, the con I was at, he didn't have much of a line, and I mean, like, he's Tony Todd. I don't know, he's a big deal to me, and he and I talked for. This was almost a decade ago now, or maybe it was a decade ago. But he and I talked for a good half an hour, I think. About all kinds of stuff, and Chuck was still on at that point. He was a recurring character in that. Spoilers for that show, but in the second season he gets killed off in that, and his character had already been killed off. And I was lamenting the fact that I really liked that show, but it wasn't getting great ratings, and I was sure it wouldn't get renewed. And he goes, "Yeah, there's no way that stays on." It went for 5 seasons. We were in the middle of season 2 when I talked to Tony Todd. It went for 3 more seasons after that. I couldn't believe it. But I got a picture of him with my batleth, and he was afraid I was going to stab his foot with it. And yeah, so he was great.
That's good. Who do you most want to meet?
These days, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not as into the meeting celebrities. I would have to really think about it. Because a lot of the kind of bucket list people I've met, Adam West was probably the biggest, and yeah. I did meet him and got his signature several years before he died. But
what about Michael Keaton?
But that's the thing is like I don't think about really big celebrities like that you just won't meet. Like, they're not on my radar. It's never gonna happen.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just realistic.
Don't
like
let
you
your
meet
dreams
these
be dreams.
You meet these people at cons,
right?
Like that. But the thing is, I've done this enough that I don't have like the dream A-list actors, because I know that's never going to happen. So I just don't even think about it. It's just not a blip for me. I don't know. Sure. Patrick Stewart used to be the big one, and I've met a lot of the TNG cast. Never met Patrick Stewart. Kind of angry with him over Picard. I can't get excited about that as much now.
Like, him now so you can yell at him.
No, and of course I wouldn't, obviously. And yeah, if I had an opportunity, I would probably do that and swallow all of that and put it away.
How dare you, sir?
But I don't have. I've lost a little bit of respect for him as an actor over some of that. Well, you didn't have to sit through it.
I don't. Neither did you. You didn't have to, sir.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I've never been one to care about meeting celebrities. I just met Tom Holland because he just was in the scene with me. And that was a really awkward encounter, but it turned out to be great. It wasn't a bad encounter. I've told that story before, but that was fun. Shall we go on?
Yeah. I will say, sorry, because I always like to come up with some kind of an answer than nothing. At the moment, and not that this is like my favorite actor or anything, but just because I'm liking Strange New Worlds okay, and I already liked him in Discovery, I kind of want to meet Anson Mount, just because I haven't cared about meeting anybody from those shows because I hate them. Mm-hmm. And now finally there's maybe some actors from new Star Trek that I would stand in line to meet. At least him.
Thank you for helping.
I mean, the longer it's
Star Trek.
I mean, the longer it's on, I don't. You know what? No. Now that I'm thinking about it, it would be so. There, I'm just gonna say this, DJ, and we'll move on. I won't even have to elaborate. This is the answer. I'm so glad I kept rambling because I wouldn't have come to this. Okay, DJ, this is the answer.
That's the motto of the show. We're so glad you kept rambling.
I'm so glad you kept rambling.
I'm just going to say this and then we're going to move on. There are 2, not just actors, there are 2 celebrities that I would most like to meet.
You're the king of the build-up.
And get and get something signed by, and both of them, their last name is McFarlane. Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on to Burned In.
Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Super chat from Burned In for 1999.
Oh, thank you so very much. What is on your mind?
Do you think Doctor Strange 2 was being treated as a test for audiences to see if they'll accept more violent MCU content? Maybe for paving the way for stuff like New Daredevil, Blade, and more. I hope they call it New Daredevil too. That's great.
That'd be great, yeah. Or we earlier were saying Marvel's Daredevil. Maybe they'll just start doing like the Marvel Now thing. DJ, I had not, and I know you haven't seen that movie, but they went surprisingly far in the violence direction compared to a lot of their other movies.
Yeah.
They got away with stuff that I wouldn't have thought that they could.
Yeah, I was talking to Connor about it. He was trying to sell me on it because I really had no interest, and he really enjoyed it. And I said, "Is there any scenes like the scene from Spider-Man 2?" And he was like, "It's all that." I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, jeez."
Yeah, it's all that.
So yeah, that sounds like it's not my thing at all. But yeah, I'm glad.
It wasn't mine either, but but it had an approach that was its own. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you'll be won
that's
over.
great to hear.
I think you'll be won over on it simply because it has a distinct tone. Any distinct tone.
That's the quote for the box.
I
It
think
has
you'll-
a distinct tone.
I think you'll have the same thing that I did with Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
But anyway, I hadn't had that thought. I think it might be a happy accident. I think it's much more likely that circumstances made it less likely at that point for Marvel Studios to have as hard a reins on that movie. Is my guess, with just everything I've heard about, like, COVID setting that movie back and everything. When they brought Sam Raimi on, and they were kind of, scraping around trying to make, a good director happen, I think they lessened the reins more with him than they would have some other directors, and because of all the other irons they had in the fire when that movie should have been closer to done than it was. I may be wrong about that, but I don't think that, and I can see why you might think that there's a strategy there, so I'm not calling you a conspiracy theorist, but I really doubt, just listening to or reading, I should say, in an interview with the writer and a little bit that I've heard from Raimi, just the attitudes they have about that project, it sounds like, if they're to be believed, that they just weren't as reined in and held back as we think happens a lot with directors on those movies. And I think it's more that, but I do think, based on that, if they think that audiences accepted it enough, it may have a positive impact moving forward on other projects, or it could have a negative impact. It could make them rein things in even more, because
a lot of people aren't liking it.
a lot of people aren't liking it. Yeah.
So regardless of what the intent was, if it was that, then it could completely change.
Yep.
From here on out. I mean, I could see that being likely. I mean, they did that. They also did Moon Knight, which is a little rougher.
Yep.
And they also just put all of the Netflix shows on Disney Plus, added a whole new rating system. Like, they're there for subscribers. So I could see them.
How much of that is coincidence and how much of it was calculated? It's hard to say.
Yeah. But I don't know.
You just can't know these things, DJ.
You just can't. Why
Until
are they asking
the
us? 'Cause we
tell-all
definitely
book
can't.
comes out. Yeah, I don't know why they're asking me. I'm just some guy broadcasting from his basement.
We don't even know, apparently, that the Red Rangers are criminals until the last minute.
Yeah, what do we know? We're completely unprofessional. We don't even know we're going to have a co-host until he shows up an hour early, and it's my fault.
Is this
Yeah, we
the
don't know
modern
until we
version
hear
of
the
like
dog
cable
bark.
access content?
Oh,
from the
yes, of
80s?
course. Absolutely it is. It's just that more people actually watch
The
it.
digital allegory.
And you can do
or
it...
analog. The digital analog.
Yeah, and you can do it from your own house without having to get permission from a network first. You don't have to go into some crusty old guy's office and be like, I want to make Wayne's World. He's like, okay.
Well, you could argue that you have to follow YouTube's terms. So
That's not the same thing. You still have to get shows greenlit with public access.
that's true.
It's just, I mean, it's relatively easy to do. But it's a lot easier with this because you just, like, make an account and then hope you don't get banned. Anyway, moving right along.
We are moved to the end. That is our last super
Was that our last
Brian?
super chat? Let's do some pre-written if there is anything, DJ.
All right, yeah, let's get to the real questions now.
So, theoretically, we could still go for another 20 minutes if people still have things they want to ask us. So feel free to still put in some more Super Chats if you are so inclined. But we'll make this the sort of last call for Super Chats. So next 5 minutes or so, feel free to throw some in, and then I'll cut it off after that. Because we have After Dark to do right after this. Over on Patreon, that's patreon.com/geekvolution. The $2 tier gets you access to that. You can keep hanging out with Brandon and I, and Austin will come in as well, and we promise to be even more, just as unprofessional as we have been so far, and even more so, very likely. I'll put my arm in Brandon's face twice as often.
Good. Can't wait.
Are you excited?
I'll tune in after the fact.
Yay!
You can have me there in spirit, like whatever they were going to do with Trini.
Jazz, are you doing jazz hands?
DJ, I'm sorry. One of these days we'll get the show back at its regular time again, and then maybe you can occasionally come back to After Dark.
Daylight savings.
Yeah, we'll just wait for that.
It's not my fault.
After dark light savings time.
Oh man, maybe if we ever do away with daylight savings, we'll be fine.
I don't think daylight savings would help this.
For one day,
No.
if it lined up perfectly on that Thursday, it would help that one time. But then it would be back to normal.
Yeah, it's not like Jason's dance suddenly changes what time it's at just because daylight savings happened.
No, like...
I don't understand. Anyway, moving right along.
So the real stuff. At the Welder from Daniel Davis. Guys, what's your preferred pizza crust? Mine's thick. That's what
It's not after dark. No,
I'm just reading the question.
Yeah, but why'd you read it like that?
And watch your eyes get big.
Yeah, you got really
Exclamation
excited
point.
about it.
That's how I read exclamation points. I'm an actor.
And tossed.
When I ate pizza, it was hand tossed for me as well. Yep.
Man, I don't even. You guys are fancy pizza eaters. I don't even know the difference. I just thought it was thin and thick.
The best
What's a
pizza I
hand
ever
toss?
ate. The best pizza I ever ate was in Prague.
Oh, I bet.
Oh, it was amazing.
Well, the best pizza I ever ate was in Germany, so there. I guess they make it better outside of the United States.
Of course, it's like an American invention, American Italian invention, but like everybody else does it better.
Everybody does it better than us, yeah. Watch this. I haven't been out of the States in a long time, but you know what I'm gonna do wherever I go, be it because I really want to go to Japan, but wherever I go,
pizza.
if I go to Europe, if I go to if I go to in Eastern country, if I go to Australia, wherever I end up going, I'm gonna order a burrito, and I'm gonna see if other countries do Mexican food better than we do. Also, besides Mexico, I also want to go to Mexico and eat Mexican food.
And it was really good.
I bet it was. But I want to eat Mexican food like 24 hours away from where Mexico is.
But I couldn't tell if it was if this was real Mexican food or if they were making Mexican food like they knew Americans wanted to have it because it was a restaurant. I don't know. I was very suspicious the whole time I was there. I'm like, is this authentic? Can I just go to someone's house and see if it tastes like this?
There's an
Well, and
authentic
actually-
Chinese restaurant around here I like to go to.
That was random, but yes.
And I would maybe kind of know DJ because when I was, it's been a lot of years now, but when I was a kid, we had a babysitter who was from Mexico, and she made tons of authentic Mexican food for us when we were there, and it was delicious. We had tacos and burritos and things all the time, and so I've had exactly what you're talking about: authentic Mexican food made by a Mexican person at her house. I've had this, and it's wonderful. And you know what? That might actually be part of the reason that I'm so partial to Mexican food. I'd never thought of this before, but I bet that because that was kind of formative years. I mean, I was like 7 or 8.
Yeah, Mexican food is like me and my wife's go-to. Mexican food is so good.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. I could throw back a burrito faster than you wouldn't even believe. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just mixing my metaphors. But yeah, I wish my wife liked Indian food because that's my favorite. Indian food is awesome. I used to have a friend,
can't go there with you, man. I've never liked Indian food.
And his mom used to make us some real Indian food. And a lot of people, I've had a lot of Indian friends that made us Indian food. It's so good. I want to go to India. That'd be awesome. Or
Actually,
Asian.
what I just said is not fair. I don't like restaurant Indian food. Because I also, and I'm not making this up based on what I just said, but I also in high school dated a girl whose parents were first generation immigrants and were from India, and she made us Indian food all the time, and that was great. But I've never liked it at restaurants.
Yeah, not the real thing.
It's not.
I guess.
And why are they all
restaurant
buffets?
Where it is a real Indian family or something. Shall we move on?
I mean, we can stretch out anything for at least 5 minutes.
Food. Yeah, we could talk about food for a good long time.
No, let's try to get to 1 or 2 more because I always feel bad about shafting pre-written questions. I always say we'll get to as many as we can, and I worry that we don't always live up to that promise. So go ahead.
Yeah, and throw some more in the chat right now, guys, if you're listening, because most of these before the show are from Daniel and Mutale, so they're going to get a little
Mutale, I would love to go to Africa.
There you go.
Now, when you say I should come to Africa, do you mean you currently are in Africa?
Yeah, I think that's.
If
What he said.
Mutali lives in Africa, I didn't know that, or I had forgotten about that.
I think he's told us that before.
Well, I think I knew he was from there, but I didn't know if he still lived there. That's
Yeah.
okay. No, I would love to go to that country. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Can we stay with you, Mutali? Can we shoot a show from your house? We'll both come. We'll come together.
We should do that. We should start a whole series of just shows from different countries.
We meet the fans.
Just
we do
all
a show
over.
from your living room.
Yeah.
It's not enough that we're stealing your questions all these years. We're actually going to use your
We're
setup.
gonna use your house. We're gonna eat your food out of your pantry.
I think that's the next logical level to this show.
I'm gonna do a show like borrowing, like I'm gonna be at Mutale's house. I'm gonna borrow a shirt from Mutale. I'm gonna eat food out of his pantry. I'm gonna wear his shirt.
When in Rome.
Robert Wild, Brandon.
Steal from the Romans? Sorry, go ahead.
Robert Wild wants to know, Brandon, White Castle thoughts?
Say that again.
White Castle thoughts?
The place or the movie?
No, the place.
The restaurant.
I'm not explaining this again, so sorry, with no context, you're just gonna have to talk about White Castle, okay? I'm not even explaining this.
My thoughts on White Castle is I'm not a fan. Actually, the last time that I went to White Castle was for the eclipse that happened about 4 years ago.
You mean White Castle?
White
Castle.
Castle.
So my biological father, who I hadn't seen in like 2 decades, I talked to him every once in a while on Facebook, but he was coming into
Turns
town.
out that he has a White Castle franchise.
So no,
Yeah,
but
he's
he is a
the starter
super
of
fan of White Castle. It is one of his favorite things to eat. But there isn't one where he lives in Wichita, Kansas. So the nearest one is Columbia, Missouri.
Yes.
But it was also going to be one of the best places to view the eclipse from the nearby Kansas City area.
Oh, White Castle was the best place to
No,
be.
Columbia,
No,
Missouri.
just that town.
So he wanted White Castle
Just keep
and
up,
he wanted
DJ.
to see the eclipse. So he picked me up. He came to Kansas City and he picked me up. And he's a real short guy, but a short Jewish dude. But he's the epitome of that. Anyway, so he...
Captain Logan Show does not condone or agree with any of the comments or ideas.
Well, he's
expressed
my
here by your
biological
guests.
father, so, I say what I want, but... no, so we get there, we go to White Castle, right? And
What is happening on the show today?
he wants to order...
If Brandon's here, it just becomes an After Dark. Like, he hasn't done a regular show in so long, he doesn't even remember what they look like. We're, like, whispering white, and then we're, like, Jewish... And then, like, what are we
He orders
doing?
some sliders, and they're like, that's
You
going to
have
be like...
gotten Geekvolution so canceled.
We were like the only
with this
people
show.
there,
You brought up
okay?
COVID earlier.
We were the only
Thanks,
people
Connor.
there, and he ordered some sliders, and they're like, that's going to be 30 minutes. And we're like, what?
I'm gonna have to
Like, 30
apologize to the
minutes?
algorithm.
And so then I just wanted to get a Coke, and they were out of Coke. So they offered to go to the local store and buy some 2-liter bottles of Coke so they could serve me a Coke.
So wait, you're not a fan because they ran out of Coke?
No. This
The
is
reason
just what
I hate
happened the
White
last
Castle-
time I was there.
You're making
I
me
don't...
never want to go to a White Castle.
Yeah, they don't even have Coke. They have to go back and make it.
I don't
takes
like them
30
because I wasn't
minutes
a
to
fan
make
of the
this.
burgers.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was a very picky eater growing up. Less picky now, still pretty picky.
okay. I hate to break this to you, but I feel like you could have given the sentiment of I don't like their burgers without the whole story about not getting Coke.
Who are you talking to? You're talking to
You.
me. Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, isn't that part
It's
of the
not After
course?
Dark.
Meandon.
Well, he
Are we done?
asked.
Is that,
Oh yeah,
Robert Wild said that your question exceeded his expectations. Okay.
My answer?
yeah, very happy.
Whatever. Yeah, your answer to the question.
it's like, did I ask?
Do we have to do another show today? Okay. DJ, would you give us one more question, and we'll do our level best to spend less than 8 minutes answering it.
All right.
I'll just shut up.
This could be interesting. Who is the scariest film performance you can think of?
Oh wow, that's a good one.
He says his is HAL 9000 in 2001, which is pretty terrifying. That's
That's
good one.
good. Oh man, I'm not gonna come up with the right answer, am I? And we're gonna get off camera, and immediately I'm gonna go, I should have said that. I need time, is what I need, and I'm not gonna get it.
I can't give you time. I can only give you questions. I'm sorry.
I need you to slow it down for me, DJ. Wow, scary performances.
Scariest film performance. That is a great question. I shouldn't have asked it because I'm not going to have a good answer either. Let us know in the comments, guys. We'll steal your answers just like we steal your questions and apparently your living rooms.
We're total hacks, yeah. After I did that whole silly diatribe about all the things I would steal from Mutale, he just goes, "That'd be great."
Yeah, he did say that.
That was great. That was really funny. I was like, "And I'm gonna borrow one of his shirts." He's like, "That'd be great."
I mean, I feel like it's.
You guys are great.
Does this?
I love you guys.
Does this count? It's kind of a cop-out answer if it does, but like.
Oh, give us a cop-out answer. I need you to fill time because I can't think of anything
Heath
great.
Ledger as the Joker in.
Is it terrifying?
I honestly kind of thought his portrayal was a little terrifying.
No, that's fair.
To be honest with you,
that's one of those performances where I get like disconnected from the material.
Yeah.
Where like it's menacing for the people in the scene, but like I'm not menaced. But does that make any sense?
Yeah,
like,
no, it does. But I used to think like, what if this person actually existed? Like, he's a maniac. He's just absolutely unhinged.
Yes, but I had already had that with that character for years and years based on comics and stuff.
True.
So I mean,
true.
I guess that's a different.
That was my biggest exposure to the Joker, besides the, having seen '89.
John Kelling, I very nearly gave that answer, and I was trying to think of something better. So I'm gonna cop out and steal what you said because that's almost what I said. He said Kathy Bates in Misery.
I've never seen that.
It's my favorite horror film, and
I know she's great.
I didn't know you'd never seen it.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you that. I've shown Jason that now. He loves it too.
Nice. Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Nicholson in The Shining, yeah, absolutely. So we're just going to Stephen King things now. DJ, do you have a good answer to this?
I don't have like a definitive. I'm trying to think. I don't watch a lot of horror movies or like movies that you're supposed to be scared of.
Boy, I've just used the word chilling too many times in reviews to not have an answer to this.
I don't usually have that. Like I don't go out of movies and like have that image like in my head or like can't sleep. I can't remember ever having like not being able to sleep after a movie. I'm trying to think. I've been trying to flip through my letterbox and see if I can find anything.
This isn't film, and this might be the obvious answer for some people, but it's an honest one, so I'll say that this is up there, having not had time to think of several. I guess Kathy Bates will be my real film answer until something else comes to me. But I do have to say that famous scene at the end of the season where Negan is introduced in Walking Dead, I absolutely have that. That is shocking and horrifying, and I had nightmares for a couple days after that. And I was late to the party on that, so like a lot of people had that years before I did, but I knew about him, but not what that scene was, and not I don't want to give that away for anybody that's never had that experience, but yeah, that's definitely up there for me.
Here's a non-standard answer for this question.
Sure.
The Birds performance in Alfred Hitchcock's
yeah.
The Birds. Just getting all those birds on the camera like that, and the way they attacked, like.
It's surprising to hear you say that because, like, when I saw that as a kid, I was laughing at that. That was hilarious.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. No,
yeah,
it creeped me out.
I couldn't take it seriously. I thought it was so funny.
Oh, man.
I've never understood that when people have said, like, The Birds was scary. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, yeah.
They got me.
I didn't realize anybody was actually scared by that past the year it came out. Like...
Oh yeah. My wife's horrified. She won't watch that movie. She was terrified of it when she was younger, and I thought it was really well done. I've seen that, but it didn't scare me.
Well, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I just remember like thinking, I don't know why anybody thought this was scary, but like I'm not trying to belittle anybody. I didn't have that for some.
I don't remember exactly what age I was when I saw it, but I definitely shouldn't have. Like I didn't get scared by a lot, but like those birds, like I see birds everywhere, and I didn't want that.
But I'm an idiot because I told this story. Norman Bates, I watched that under ideal circumstances by myself in the apartment alone at night, really late, and it freaked me out for like that night.
That's awesome,
the next day.
That you actually got to have that experience.
Anthony Perkins and Psycho is my answer. But I want to bring up The Phantom Carriage, which is a movie from 1921, directed by I think a German gentleman, and it is a silent film, and it is genuinely so creepy and has the best score ever. It's like the super creepy score, and it's about this guy. I talked about it a little bit on here before. It's like the anti It's a Wonderful Life. It goes through like this. It's like he's also visited by like it's not an angel. It's like the Grim Reaper, and it's like his day. He has to like take over the Grim Reaper thing, and they go through, and it goes flashbacks and shows his whole life. And instead of like George Bailey always making the right decision every time, he keeps making the wrong decisions, and his life is just miserable. And there's a scene where he is trying to just get in. He has a wife and 2 kids, and he's in the kitchen, and he's trying to kill his wife. Like, he's trying to get through the kitchen. The wife has locked him in the kitchen, and he has an axe, and he's breaking the door in. It's what Kubrick stole.
Like in The Shining.
Yeah, it's where Kubrick got that shot. He took that shot from it, and it's
oh wow,
it's terrifying. It's so suspenseful. And
what movie
intense.
is that?
Such a good movie. One of my favorites, The Phantom Carriage. Really, really good movie. So stylistic. Look at that. So cool. The blue lighting. Really good movie. So I'll put him up there. I don't know the gentleman that plays the main character in that, but
yeah, the only silent films I really saw, and I saw a bunch, but were for a film class I took in college, and that was not one that came up. And I just haven't gone back to seek out silent films, which I should do, but I have not.
Yeah, and me and Connor just reviewed The Passion of Joan of Arc, which has a very disturbing scene, like a bloodletting scene, and it's just a real person's arm with blood shooting out of it. Like, it's crazy. It freaked Connor out. Connor got very woozy. And then when he found out that it was a real arm after I told him, he got even more sick. He thought it was a special effect.
Yeah, you could do messed up things like that back then. It's for the best that we quit doing that. But
I couldn't believe that they literally just stuck a blade into a person's vein right here and let blood shoot out into a bowl, and that's totally fine. It was crazy. That's a great movie too, though. 1928.
Insurance wouldn't cover that production today.
Maybe if they had like a fraud, Austin St. John kind of fraud thing going to raise the money.
Well,
anyway,
check fraud and insurance fraud can meet where you make payments, but
everybody, thanks a lot for watching the Captain Logan Show this evening. We sure appreciate it. On those notes, we're gonna go ahead and bid you farewell. If you want to keep hanging out with us, Brandon and I and Austin are gonna do some Captain Logan After Dark. We're gonna talk about some other various topics that we're bringing to the table, but we might answer some things from you guys as well if we have a little bit of a crowd. So come check it out. Patreon.com/Geekvolution. Once again, if you've not become a patron in the past, it's just $2 a month, and you can come in and just try it out if you want to and hang out with us. We will put a link to that live show. It will be an unlisted show up in about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we should come in about 15 or so. So if you're on Patreon, that'll show up in your inbox, in your email, and you'll have a link, and you can come watch another live show with us. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Brandon, thanks for being here.
Of course.
Thanks for coming too early.
Yes, thanks for telling me an hour too early.
Well, I'm glad I did. We had a good time.
Yeah. Always a pleasure to have you, man. I don't get to see as much anymore, so I'm glad I got to talk to you.
That's right. You're a traitor to the After Dark.
Whatever. It's all right. I'm going to cancel the show because DJ's not there anymore.
Canceled.
I don't know.
Oh, no. Then they'll hate me. I'll be the reason. Don't blame me for it stopping. That's terrible. I'm not your scapegoat.
You're the fall guy.
It wasn't a good joke or anything. Anyway, thanks again, guys. We'll see you again next week. We'll be back again at the normal time, or what is currently the normal time, 8 o'clock next Thursday. Once again, tomorrow night at 10 Central, I'm going to be doing a mini marathon with Austin and Ty on some 60s Batman episodes. So I hope to see you there for that. And then a new rewind on Sunday, hopefully, if all things go according to plan, on Batman vs. Two-Face. All that and more. Check it out right here on Geekvolution. I was Captain Logan, and that's Brandon Grimm.
As usual.
And just 2 doors down, but we pretend like it's Georgia. It's DJ Martinez.
Yeah, that's why I have to talk quietly, because he's so close, you could hear me in his microphone.
That's
Through
why we
the
get an
walls.
echo sometimes.
The cops get called sometimes. It's a whole thing. Anyway, we'll see you later, folks. Bye, everybody.